Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage keynote speaker and best-selling author, René Rodriguez.
So it was May 5th, 1961, and Alan Shepard, who was the first American to enter space, is sitting atop of the Redstone rocket on the Freedom 7 mission, about to be launched off into space. Now, I want you to imagine for a minute what is going on for him at this moment. He's sitting atop of literally a big hunk of metal, full of rocket fuel, about to be launched off into space with a group of engineers going, "We think it's going to work this time." That is what I call a moment of truth. And a moment of truth is where everything that you thought mattered really didn't, and the things that actually matter do. And I also call that moment what we call the time of performance. And so think about this for a minute. You're now sitting on top of that Redstone rocket, full of rocket fuel, and you're about to be launched off into space. What goes through your mind in that moment? Well, a reporter got a chance to ask Mr. Shepard what happened right before he was launched. And he said, "Mr. Shepard, the world is watching. You're about to be launched off into space as the first American. We want to know what's going through your mind." And put a microphone in front of him. And his answer was so insightful. And for me, will ever go down in history when he said this: the fact that every part of this rocket was built by the lowest bidder. Let that sink in for just a second here. Now think about the moment of purchase when they were doing this. They were thinking about, well, hold on, are we going to save money here? What's the interest rate? What about this thing? All of these things that mattered at the time in that moment of purchase, we lose sight of what's coming down the pipe, which is what we call the time of performance. And why has been my study. Why is it in that moment of purchase that we lose things? Well, you guys need to understand, and this talk is about how do we take the news and turn it into leads. And we need to understand a couple things for us to be able to do that. And there's two words: fear and panic. Two extremely powerful words. But now, to understand fear and panic, sorry, Jen, but I'm going to create a little fear and panic in the room. You guys okay if I create a little fear and panic? Yes? Okay, some people are like that. All right, pull out your phones if you would, please. Everybody, pull out your phones and have them out if you would. And then I need you to unlock your phone if you would, please. And then I want you to hand it to a neighbor. Can you feel that sense of fear and panic start to just percolate a little bit? If you really want to have fun, open up your photo app and hand it to someone. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. We don't need any lawsuits. Okay, we're good. Okay, now put your phones away. But I do want you right now. I want you right now to pay attention to how that feels. And I want you to pay attention to really what that felt like in that moment, because the lesson is inside of you. And the moment that cortisol starts rising up, it makes you extremely present in what's going on, and you forget to think about the future. In fact, the part of your brain that thinks of the future is completely shut down in this moment. And that's the moment that you all need to learn to master when it comes to your clients. This NAR settlement, what do you think that created? Fear and panic. Guess who knows that? The media. I read this research recently. It said that CNN uses the words breaking news 400 times a day. 400 times a day. That is absurd. I just saw the new chief came in. He said that we overuse the term. Yeah, no shit. But why? We have to ask ourselves why. We can get upset about something, but you need to go further and say why. Why would they do that? The reason is because we can't see everything. We think we do, but we don't. We think we understand, but we don't. And the moment that I learn to surrender to the fact that I don't see everything is the moment that I start to see more. And I'll give you an example, okay? I want to see how well you guys all follow instructions, okay? Let's see, put your hands out here in front of you like this, if you would. And thumbs in the air, okay? All right, now I want you to point your thumbs down, if you would. And this is the harder part, so raise your right hand. I can see some left hands. Right hand. Okay, here we go. Okay, good. You have your other right. And I want you to cross it over. This is the hard part. And I want you to interlace your fingers like this, and I need your right thumb out like this. I see some left thumbs out. Wriggle that thumb. Okay, perfect. All right, so now point your fingers out like this if you would and tap them together. All right? So now, if you've been paying attention to everything that I've said, you should be able to do as I do next, which is this. Okay, so now, we've made the point that we don't see everything. And here, now it's a cool party trick. I'm going to do a little book signing afterwards over at the My Credit Guy booth, so you can come by and we can talk about this. But I want you to pay attention to how clear you were paying attention, and yet you still missed it. And this is what's going on, and this is where we need to start really thinking deeper. One, to be a student of your own experience, and how when we watch the news or we watch what's going on, we see the NAR settlement, we see interest rates go up and down, whatever it is, what happens to our attention? And what happens to the way we think and how we make decisions, because the reason you need to understand that is because your customers are going through the exact same process when you take them through to get a mortgage. You need to become masters of that moment of what happens in fear and panic. And if you can be the one, and by the way, what Chris was talking about was dead on, creating that experience, because another way of saying what he was creating, he's taking away the fear and the panic and making it much more predictable in those moments. And if you think that like your rate or your product is going to differentiate you, here's the reality. A piece of chicken with no story ends up on a $1 menu at KFC. But a piece of chicken with a story in the hands of a chef, I'll pay $150 to eat it off a tasting menu. It's still just chicken. But why would we pay so much more for that? And here's the thing. All of us in this room, me included, our value propositions are just chicken. The only thing, there's no patent monopolies in this room. There's no interest rate that can't be matched. There's no technology that I can't write a check for and get the same thing. But your story of who you are, that is your fingerprint. That is the thing that nobody can replicate. And your ability to communicate that story becomes now your competitive advantage. And so now, you're understanding fear. You're understanding panic. But now we say, okay, so what is it that causes and calms that fear and panic? How do we reduce that moment of stress? And for that to happen, you need to understand the role that narrative plays in your mind. How narrative rolls out, what's the purpose of it, how we do. So people say, well, narrative's a story. Well, narrative's a lot more than story. I promise you this. In the brain, a narrative is a construct of reality. We use narrative to be able to understand the world, to bucket the world. And the best way to understand narrative is this feeling that you have right now. The lesson is inside of you. I want you to pay attention to exactly what you felt the moment you saw me walk off screen. I want to hear it. I'm going to jump off stage, Greg, if that's okay for a second. Here. Cool. Fear. What else? What was that? Neglect. Confusion. Curiosity. What else? Keep going. Concern. What was this? Did I forget something backstage? What else? I want to hear it. Am I okay? Somebody said I had to pee. Somebody thought I was going to beat somebody up one time. There's all sorts of stuff. So pay attention to what happened. Here I was on the stage, on the narrative. We're at Fuse. Everything's great. We're in New Orleans. And René stopped. And so if you think about this line of narrative, this whole thing, do you understand? We use that to construct reality. And when there's a gap in that moment and something stops, what did your brains do immediately? What did it do? It filled it. It filled it. It created some sort of story. So, why? Well, think about it. A narrative is a construct of what? I've said it 4 times already. Reality. I want you all to say this with me. A narrative is a construct of? Reality. A little louder because this is important. Construct of? Reality. And so if the narrative stops and there's no narrative, there's no reality. Can your brain handle a gap in reality? It can't handle it. So what did it do? It fills it. The question is, what did it fill it with? It filled it with an assumption. An assumption. So now, let's go through this. Let's see if I can get back up here. Leg day, work for me, please, thank you. Good, all right, good. So if I'm going to draw this picture because I want you guys to see this. This is a really critical way of understanding this, because if you can understand what I'm about to draw for you, it will make sense of so many things. But I want you to steal, by the way, I want to be really clear. I want you to steal everything that I'm doing up here, And I want you to present this to your clients and realtor partners. And the opening script is one of those pieces that's going to help. So I want you to go back and I want you to rewatch this, okay? So here we are. There's this gap, this narrative here, boom. There's a gap that's created here in the middle, boom. And then what do we fill that with? An assumption. Now, I'm going to fully write that out because assumption, I abbreviated it one time. And my entire presentation said ass gap behind me. So we don't want any ass gaps. We really don't want any ass gaps. And so here we have this assumption that's filling all of these gaps. And I'll give you another example. So let's pretend that we all work for a CEO and that CEO doesn't show up. Okay? One person over here says, oh, John didn't show up again? He's out probably getting another yacht. I don't know how many yachts he needs. It's one way to fill the gap. Now, another person over here says, wait, John didn't show up? Let me call and see if he's okay. Another way to fill the gap. So here we have two completely different, one scenario, someone doesn't show up, one person goes to greed and a yacht, another person goes to empathy and concern, constructing two coexisting what? Realities. Wait, hold on a second. Didn't you just say, isn't reality just reality? Is this the case for the multiverse? All my gaming nerds would know what that means by that. But here, how can we have two realities? I thought reality was there. But now we get into understanding, well, maybe there's two perceptions. That'd be easy, right? Well, what's perception is what? Reality. So it's the same thing. You are in the business of shifting people's perception, which really means shifting people's reality. And so here we are. We need to understand the question again, why? Why would somebody go to greed and a yacht? Why would somebody go to empathy and concern? Well, we have to consider what we call the source of the assumption. We all have different sources. And those sources, they fall in our past. So maybe the person who went to greed and a yacht has a history of seeing that good leaders are greedy bastards. Or maybe they tried negotiating with the CEO once and said, hey, we want to do this thing, we want to raise this money, we want to do X, Y, and Z. And he said, oh, we don't have the budget, but next week he's out on his yacht taking his selfies. And so, of course, he sees somebody, doesn't show up, he's probably out getting another yacht. Now, why did the person go to empathy and concern? Well, maybe this person knew John's story. Maybe they knew John's story. And they knew that John's daughter was sick and in the hospital. And he said, hey, I'll be at the meeting as soon as I go check on my daughter, and then I'll see everybody there. He doesn't show up. She pulls, not from her past story. What did she pull from? His story. To fill in, as use of an assumption, to fill in the gap. Which do you think is more accurate? His story. See, here's what happens when we don't share our story. And by the way, how many gaps do you think are happening on a daily basis? It's endless. You can't count them. And what does your brain do the moment there's a gap? It fills it with what? An assumption to create the reality. And so if there's gaps happening all day long, and your brain's going, don't worry, we know what to put there. Don't worry, we got experience to put there. We're going to assume. Most of our understanding of reality is based on assumption. That's some scary shit. Think about that for a minute. Most of our understanding of the world is based on some level of assumption. And so if I want to have maximum influence, what do I need to be? I need to be what I call the trusted source of the narrative gap. I want to be the one that people go to. We got Barry Habib who's going to be speaking here. When it comes to interest rates, the media is going to say something, but if Barry says, let me explain this to you, how many of us would say, F the media, Barry, tell us what's really going on? That is called being a trusted source. You should have one goal right now, is how do you become the trusted source of the narrative gap for your customers, your realtor partners, your referral partners, your family, your spouse, everybody. How can it be, and what do you have to do to be the one that people say, this is what the world is saying, what's really going on? I want to be that for my kids. I want to be that for my clients. I want to be that for you guys so that I can be chosen to be up here and speak. How do I do that? Building a brand. NAR settlement, I've spent a lot of time talking to some billion-dollar producers, billion-dollar CEOs, people that are running this thing everywhere, and everybody is saying the same thing. Well, there's two camps. One is the world is falling. And there's one characteristic that anybody that's saying the world is falling has in common. They're broke. I don't want to listen to them because it'd be the same way of me saying, hey guys, I'm going to do a new workshop. Next year's keynote's going to be on the menstrual cycle and how women are doing it wrong. Should I be talking about that one? Why not? Why? Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, and also, I'm going to do another one on how to grow rich and thick hair. And that's the broke person telling you the world's falling. It's like, dude, I don't need your plan, not listening. And you need to be that crystal clear about who you allow into your mind. Who do you allow to fill those narrative gaps? And I'm not saying money is everything, but if I'm in business, money is a big part of that, by the way. And money is also a reflection of behavior. Money is a reflection of your life energy expended. Money is a reflection of the value you create in a marketplace. But money is a big part of it. It's not everything. But if somebody doesn't have any and they're telling me the world's falling, I'm just not listening. But here's the cool part. People are producing billions of dollars, making millions of dollars. People are doing this stuff. They all say the same thing. Interview them and say, hey, how much is the NAR settlement taking up of your mindset? And they all go, none. They go, why? I go, I can't control it. I have to understand it. Yeah, I have to understand it. Now, when I talk to the leaders and the CEOs who come down, we've identified there's 3 changes that actually matter. And when you Google, what do the changes in NAR settlement mean? They go into the lawsuit. Nobody gives a shit about the lawsuit. What does it mean to me? And that's a question that nobody needs to understand. It means 3 things, okay? First and foremost, the commission is not changing. They're splitting it into 2 documents. Woo! Big deal. Before, the buyer's agent, excuse me, was able to say, hey, I'm free. I'm just here to drive you around and show you homes. Now they're going, you got to charge you. It's like they've never sold anything before. By the way, welcome to every other fucking industry in the world, right? Welcome to it. We all have to do that. We all have to show our value, and that's okay. And by the way, that's a really good thing. This market isn't for the weak, by the way. It's for those that are motivated, those that have grit, those that want to work a little bit harder, and that's good. Welcome to every other industry. Where before we could just run around, I'm a real estate agent, right? Oh, open door. Dope, okay, next one. I'm sorry, I'm being a little cruel, but the reality is that now we have to actually show up because there's a lot of money being paid. And here's the cool part. There's 3 skills that need to happen, okay? First, this is not a run-around market anymore. This is a structured sales process market. This is not a situational market where just because the situation was good, I made money. This is a skill-based market, meaning we have skills that need to happen. And I need you all to be the trainers and the teachers of these skills to your agents. If you can be what I'm doing right now for your agents, you will have more business than you know what to do with. Here are the 3 skills. 1, structured sales process, an organized and structured sales process. You have to have that. Write down this acronym, PAPCAR, P-A-P-C-A-R. I've trained PAPCAR for 30 years. PAPCAR, prospecting, appointments, presentation, closing, aftercare, referrals. That is the sales process of any sales. I have to prospect to get a lead, set an appointment with that lead, show up date, time, and a place, so I can present value to that lead, and I can close that lead, aftercare, keep my promise, and then ask for a referral. PAPCAR. That's how that works. And if you could be the one to create that, if you don't remember that, send me a message, follow me on Instagram, something like that. I will send you something. I have a link tree. You can download it. Come get it at the booth with me and Sam at My Credit Guy. We'll give you all that stuff for free. In fact, Sam, you know what? Sam, remind me, would you please, we're going to put the PAPCAR thing together, and then come find Sam because he has all your contact. I don't have any scanning stuff, and we'll make sure we get all that stuff. We're going to give you a full training on how to really, really communicate that skill set of prospecting of PAPCAR. Second skill set, what do you think it is? Presentation skill. Why? I have to present my value. I'm going to have to charge you this. I got to be able to communicate the value of that. That means storytelling. I'm going to go into a little skill set here in a second that's going to show us how to do that. But I got to be able to communicate that value. Third, can they just spit on the hand and say, hey, put her there. I'm going to be your agent. No, they can't do that. What do they have to do? Oh, they have to sign a contract. That's called closing. So they have to learn how to get a signature. Structured ordered sales process, presentation skills, and closing to be able to sign. See how simple that is? How many of you know how to do all 3 of those? Show me hands. Show me hands. If you don't, pretend. Show me your damn hands. Here's why. If you don't, you need to be so that you can go train these people. If you agree with me, say yes. If you really agree with me, say hell yes. Okay, good. That's what I want from you guys. So now, let's go through this. We have the NAR settlement. We have all that sort of stuff. But here's the other piece that I need you to start thinking about. I need you to start thinking about building your brand. I know you hear that from everybody. Trust me, I know you hear from everybody, but I'm going to tell you, you need to start building your brand. There are two skill sets that people are going to win with right now. Two things that they have to master. One is brand, and the second is technology. You have to have both. Those are the people that in real estate are going to win. And tech could be CRM, tech is AI, but you also have to have a brand. But here's the problem with the first part. Most people don't understand what a brand is. They think posting on social media is a brand. It's not. That is the equivalent of me taking, we watch Yellowstone. Everybody watch Yellowstone? Right? Okay, so they have this brand, right? This big hunk of metal with a Y on there. And people posting social media that have a brand think that's brand. No, that's the physical noun of a brand. That is the tool of branding. But if I were to take this big thing, make it really hot and say, hey, can I stick that on your chest? Is it Wendell? Waddell, would you let me burn my brand onto you? You'd be like, no thanks. No thanks. How about, can I tattoo my name Amplify around your chest? Can I tattoo that on you? Would you let me do that? No. He's like, hell no. Why? Why would somebody allow somebody to tattoo their logo, somebody else's logo on there? Well, do you know the number one tattoo in the world is? Harley Davidson. That is the number one tattoo in the world. That is a logo. Why did they choose that one? I've never seen a Honda tattoo. Kia, right? Why would they choose that? It's not about the brand. It's about something so much bigger than that. So much bigger. Here's the best explanation of brand that I have. I want you to imagine the first date. It's a story that I have. So go back to, who here is married? So Nathan, because we're my boy here. Nathan, go back to your first date with your wife.
I remember it well.
You remember it well. Good, she's right here. So let's pretend that this happened, right? Nate's got his good bow tie on, and he's thinking, man, I just met the girl of my dreams. I need to ask her out again. And he musters up the courage, and he says, you know what, I really had a great time. I'd love to see you again. And what's your name? Billy. She's smart. She goes, you know what, Nathan? She plays it cool. She's like, I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you know. And she turns around, and then she stops. She goes, but if I do decide to see you again, she smiles and looks at him, and she says, I'll do it on one condition. You can't wear that bow tie, because that bow tie, that's an unfair advantage. She winks at him and turns around. Now, how is he feeling every time he puts his little bow tie on? He feels like he could slay the world, right? This is like he can get anything he wants. He's walking on water. He's worth $1 million. Now, did it have anything to do with the quality of that bow tie? Did it have anything to do with the color of the bow tie? The manufacturer. Had nothing to do with any of the value propositions. Hear that. If it was a shirt, a suit, it had nothing to do with the quality, the make. It had nothing to do with the value propositions. It had everything to do with two things, and this is where brand is. It's two things. One, the motion that it evoked. Two, for a promise to be delivered. What was the promise? The emotion was confidence, walk on water. The promise was, with this bow tie, I will land the girl of my dreams. And if I come back with a promise and I say, Nate, if I put this brand on you, you can land the girl of your dreams, he's like, put it on me. Give it up right here. That is what a brand is. And you got to ask yourself, are people, what emotion are you trying to evoke? And two, what promise can you make? And here's the third part that nobody asks. What promise can you make that the market will pay for? That is the question that no one asks. Because I know there's a lot of people with really good brands, or not good, maybe brands, that the moment I do business with you, you will show up late. That's a promise I can set my watch to. Or some people have the promise when they say they're going to do something, they won't do that. I can set my watch to those people. When they speak, you just start going, uh-huh. How many of you know those people? Or the moment I do business with you, I just know some shady shit's going to happen. There's some people that the moment they open their mouths, I know what they say will be followed up with. Those are brands, by the way. And some brands don't even have logos. A logo is an expression of an emotion, and it's an expression of a promise to be kept. It means so much to me that I want to display it to the world. That's what brands are. And so you have to think about it from that perspective. You have to think about it from that perspective. So here we have sales skills, organized, structured sales process, presentation skills, closing, and all of you need to develop and start building your brand. Once you have that brand promise and all those things, now you go to social media with that brand. And now you start telling people about it. And those that buy into what you do will follow you. It is how it works. Being known is different than a brand. Remember that. So now, I want to go into a skill. And if you've ever seen me speak before, you've probably seen me do this, but the really fun part about this is that it happens differently every single time. And I want to teach you how to, I want you to see what happens when the power of story happens when you follow a structured sequence. And so for that, I'm going to need a volunteer. But I have some parameters around this volunteer. I do not want a ham. I don't want somebody who just loves the mic. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get on stage and fuse. All right, tell me, what's up, René? And I don't want you. You're already good at this. And if you come up here and I sense that, I will boot you off the stage faster than you can count. Okay? Now, here's who I want on the stage. I want somebody who is nervous. Somebody who is petrified about being on stage. Somebody who is questioning if they should come up here. But more importantly, somebody who feels like they don't have a story. So now, Jen, could we be ready to escort that person up? Who do we got? Is that you, sir? What's your name? Tommy. Why don't you just come up here? I'm going to grab you up here. Put your foot up. Boom. Perfect. Tommy. Yeah, I can know it because his hand is shaking. One, awesome.
No, I'm inviting somebody up.
Oh, you're inviting somebody up. I thought he was my guy.
I'm
Sorry.
not the guy.
All right, perfect.
I'm escorting.
Why don't you are you nervous? No, you want to be our guy?
I can be if you need me.
No, I'm just kidding. That's what you go. Who do we want? Tommy's going to come grab the person. You know what? We'll see if we can do. We got somebody walking up here. So Tommy, we got this person walking up. Why don't you escort them? Come around here. And if I got time, I'll come over and get you too. Okay? Perfect. So now, I thought Tommy was going to be. He was perfect. He was trembling, the whole thing. And I'm going to need a microphone as well, just to make sure. Hey, by the way, as they're coming up here, are you getting value out of this? Good. I'm going to give you, as they're coming up, I'm going to give you a really, really cool tip. How many of you want to grow your following on social media? I have over 1 million followers on TikTok and over 220,000 followers on Instagram. Here's how you grow. Pull out your phones real quick. Open up Instagram. I'll show you a really cool trick. Simple. You can do this today. Go to my account. Learn with René. And when you're there, you see the little blue thing that says follow. Click follow. Sometimes you just have to ask. And I mean it. Please do follow. And by the way, I do a video every single day on this stuff. I'm in the process of doing what we call an 11-part video series on body language. And right now we're on lesson 6 that just posted this morning. Every single video I do, one a day, is on skill sets like this. But as much as I'm joking, I finally realized I had to start asking people for this. It wasn't some magical piece. And if you can add value and get people to do that, people will begin to follow you. Welcome. How are you? What's your name?
Natasha.
Natasha. Nice to meet you. I'm going to take the microphone from you real quick and center stage if you would. Okay. And here's why I'm doing that. Light travels faster than sound. And so people are going to make a visual judgment before they make a auditory one. Okay? So please take center stage if you would. All right. So now, here we are. What do you do, Natasha?
I'm a loan originator.
Loan originator. Okay. So the biggest challenge and a question that I get, in fact, my most viral video was helping people understand what do we do with our hands. And so I want you to watch. We're both on stage, and if we weren't speaking, you wouldn't know who to look to. But now, if I were to do something like this, where do your eyes go? To me. So do that for me if you would. Okay? Now we're a little bit higher if you would, right there, and a little bit out there. Perfect. Not too far. Perfect. Now where do your eyes go? Okay, now switch again. Come down, you go down, and I'll go here. Kind of stupid, isn't it? Right? In fact, now I want you to put your hands out here, like kind of just like this, and if you look at your big smile, now all of a sudden, and then take a little step forward and do the same thing. Now all of a sudden, who are you paying attention to? Say it nice and loud. Her. And so what's happened is she's moved her hands from what we call the influence zone, which is between her belly button and her eyes, from here to here. This is one of the key things. There's a video going viral right now. You can put your hands on and be comfortable. But what I want you to do is come like this, okay? Perfect. And don't interlace them. We'll talk about why not in a minute. Go like this, if you would. Perfect. Yep. Now, we'll fix all that stuff in a minute. There's a viral video going around. It's like, why everybody on Apple, all presenters, all leaders in Apple, they have this pose. And what's happening is people are starting to realize that, imagine saying, hi, we're really excited. Thank you so much for being here, folks, and really excited. Thanks for coming on stage. We have to learn how to use these hands. So now, I'm going to ask you 3 unfair questions, okay? You're probably going to fail, and then we're going to fix it. Great. Isn't that fun? I meant to say all that stuff, but they finally told you so fast. It was good. All right, you ready? Here we go. Can we turn this one on? Do I need to? With this mic? Ready? Who are you? What do you do? What makes you unique?
My name is Natasha Thomas. I am a loan originator, and I'm unique because I'm brand new in the industry, and I've actually never done a loan yet, so I'm learning.
All right. So, if you noticed, I got the here, and we got the leg going, right?
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be on stage here at Fuse. Just really super excited to...
I also have never been on a stage.
Which you're doing great, by the way. So now you're doing great. So now if you notice, all this stuff is sort of distracting. Now, would you give that, if I were to say you got a rate between a 1 or a 0, 0 meaning you're moving away from influence, 1 you're moving towards it, what would you rate that, 1 or a 0?
Away? Oh, 1?
1?
Yeah.
I think the fact that you're new, you won them over, which is good. But from a presentation, if she was brand new, or if she was talking to a group of realtors, is anybody saying, oh my God, I have to work with her? Probably not yet, so we're at a 0 at the moment. We're going to show you what a 1 looks like.
Okay,
Fair?
great.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a different question. Give me 3 words that make you unique, and I'm going to write them over here. And you can stay right there. Your audience is out there. 3 words that make you unique.
Hardworking, honest, and determined.
What was the other one?
Determined.
Hard work, honest, and determined. Honest, there we go, determined. And so now, would you say, I promise it says determined, that these 3, hard work, honesty, and determination, reflect your personal values in some way?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Now that I know that, we know that our values are formulated in the brain between the ages of 9 and 13. And so now, here we are, knowing that if that happened, honesty, hard work, and determination, those aren't new things for you. Is that correct? You've been that way for a long time?
Yes.
Perfect, good. So now I want to know 2 questions. One, during that time period of 9 to 13, who was around and what happened? And that'll trigger one of 2 types of stories. Either what we call a lighthouse story, where a lighthouse story is somebody who was in her life that was a beacon of light for one of these. Now, which of these, hard work, determination, and honesty, is the one that speaks to you the most right now?
Determined.
Determined, okay? So I want to know, between the ages of 9 and 13, who was around and what happened around this determination. So first of all, who was around between this age that comes to mind for determination?
My dad.
Your dad. Now, was he a lighthouse or a foghorn? A lighthouse would be he was the beacon of light. He showed you the way. He was the role model.
Yep.
Or it was a foghorn. Like my mother was a foghorn, even though she's the most influential, most beautiful person in my life. She was a lighthouse and a foghorn. Foghorn would be the warning sign, somebody that warned us against what we wanted to do. Was he a lighthouse or a foghorn?
Lighthouse.
Lighthouse, so perfect. So Natasha, I want you to take center stage. In fact, if you notice, we got a little lighter on this side, so our center stage is going to be probably right around over here, okay? And I want you to tell us a story about your dad between the ages of 9 to 13 and how he was a lighthouse for determination. Let's start with the phrase, I remember when.
Man. I remember when, he was always working, but he was providing for the family, and he was in sales, and I just always looked up to him. And that's kind of why I got into sales.
Okay, so the difference between what we call bullet points and stories is this, right? So that was bullet points. He was in sales, he was determined, I looked up to him. So those are bullet points, right?
Okay.
So story was something along the lines, I remember when I was a kid, I always come down and my dad was always working.
Can't be put on the spot. Sorry, I'm like trying to think of something.
You're good,
specific.
you're good. So I want you, but just close your eyes, just think back, right? How did you know he was determined?
He was always working,
And how did you know he was always working?
Well, he wasn't there all the time.
Okay. And so how was he a lighthouse for you then?
When he was there, it was great. I just looked up to him.
Why?
Because he would spend quality time with us while he was there.
Do you remember a time he did that?
We would go to the movies, we'd go fishing,
So in storytelling,
I just have memories
we would
of that.
choose fishing or a movie. Which movie? What'd you catch? What was it like? Did you drive there? Did you fly there? What was going on? I want you to choose a story of how you knew your dad was determined. And I remember when, and just pick, but here's the best part, any old story that kind of tells you what he's like. And then I like the fact that he was there for you. So determined, we worked a lot, but when it was with us, he was always there. There was this one time And pick one. And tell your audience. Don't look at me. Look at the audience.
Okay. Let me think of a specific time. So we had a lake house, and we would basically go to the lake house on the weekends, and he taught me how to fish. I have to put a worm on a hook, and he taught me just how to fish, basically. Yeah.
But do you remember what that was like? And by the way,
It made me happy.
It is not easy, one, to be on the spot, fear and panic.
Yeah.
Right? But two, to be able to recall a story. Most of us, we know that storytelling is important, but we tend to sound this way, right? And where we just sort of, he taught me how to fish. Versus, I remember we'd go to the cabin, and we just got done with school, we were so excited, and we'd drive up there, and it was kind of this thing. We'd always stop at this one restaurant on the way, and then when we get there, I remember like first time I had the thing, I didn't want to do it, but he taught me how to do that, and I put it in, and I caught the fish, and I got so excited because I was there with my dad. Or maybe I was there all day long, we didn't catch anything, but I was there with my dad. I want you to tell the story.
Right.
Try it. And by the way, we're going to keep going until we do. So we're good.
Yeah. So over this.
You're doing good. Just tell us, what do you remember about fishing? And remember, turn and face your audience.
Oh my gosh. I just remember he would take us out on the boat. We had a boat, and we would go fishing off the boat in Lake Livingston. We're from Houston. We would go wakeboarding. He taught me how to wakeboard as well off this boat.
Do you remember a time? Because these are still bullet points.
I mean, I was probably around that age, probably around 13, 14 years old.
So tell us about what that was like. What was it like being with Dad, and how did it make you feel, and how did you know he was
Made me happy, and I just know a lot of my values come from that, and what's important to me. Family is very important, and spending quality time with my family.
But tell us a story. We still need a story.
I feel like that was the story.
Nope, these are bullet points.
Okay.
Step forward. Notice how she's
what you
getting
want me to
further
say.
and further away. I need you to come up
Okay.
here, right here, right here. And we're gonna keep going right about there. Perfect.
Oh my God, I hate my team so much right now. Like, so bad.
By the way, I promise you, I want you to close your eyes for a minute.
Okay.
Take a deep breath in. Stand on 2 feet. Okay. Take a deep breath in. You're outside of your brain. I want you to go back and just remember your dad. You love your dad, don't you?
Yes.
How much do you love your dad?
A lot.
A lot, right?
Yes.
And do you go back to one thing. What was it like, the fact that, I just want you to tell us how you knew as a kid that he was always there for you. And I promise you where we're headed with this, I'm going to show you what this means to your client presentations. But I need you to let all that go, forget the audience, and I want you to tell us a story about your dad and how you knew that he loved you when he was there.
He would just teach us life lessons, and, always be honest and do the right thing, and it just made me who I am today.
Do you remember one of those life lessons and how he taught you?
Not off the top of my head, no.
How would he teach you? Would it be over dinner, or would it be...
Yeah, we had family, okay, there you go. We had family dinners every night, so we'd all be around the table and just talking about our day, and, I just made me look up to him.
What would he say? So what was one of your favorite lessons?
Oh, man, this is so difficult.
I promise you we're going somewhere.
I don't know.
You're doing good.
Never to lie, that was always a big thing. If we lied and we got caught lying as kids, it was not good, so that was a big one. So I feel like I'm always honest now.
Okay, and so here, your dad, how did you know he worked a lot? Because he was always gone? What did he do?
He was in the car business.
He was in car, so he was a car salesman? Or just in the business itself?
Yeah, he started that way, yes.
He had big goals?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know he was determined though?
Well, he's the CEO of a company now.
Okay, so you watched him sort of take that determination and grow.
Correct.
Okay, now why did you get into mortgage, and what did you do before?
I was in the car business.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and then why did you do mortgage now?
I had a daughter.
Okay?
Yes. So she's 18 months. So I know it gives me a little bit more flexibility with my schedule because I was working, 16-hour days in the car business and finance. So this allows me to have more time with her.
And I'm assuming that what is about mortgage though? Because you do a lot of things to create flexibility.
I felt like it was kind of an easy transition from my background in finance in the car business. So it's kind of a step up, I feel like, from cars to houses.
Okay, cool. So now what I want to teach you is language that matters to a client, right? So imagine if you were to say that, yeah, I'm doing this because I wanted more time with my family. There's no customer that's going to go, well, thank God you're working with me. So I'm a convenience. So we want to make sure we language that right.
Okay.
How do you think people feel when you put them in a home and you finance them? How do you feel when someone got financing for a car? The nerve-wracking experience of saying, am I going to get selected? Am I going to get qualified for this car, right? You think it's any different in mortgage? It's a lot bigger and a lot more meaningful.
Probably scarier, yeah.
Scarier, because you're there during people's moments of fear and panic.
Right.
And I'm giving you the language of how you're going to talk about yourself. Okay? So can you give me a little creative freedom? I'm going to repeat your story.
Okay, yes,
Okay?
please.
All right, good.
Hear a better version.
So but I want you to listen to this, and I want you to really step into this, okay? So somebody asked her before, she said, hi, I'm Natasha. I am new at this. I haven't done this. I was from the car business. I do it because it's easier and more convenient for me and my daughter. So that would be a way of saying there's no value in it. But there's tons of value hidden in what you said, okay? It's just the way we communicated it. Imagine if I take the same information she said and I re-delivered it this way. So tell us, who are you? What do you do? What makes you unique? My father was one of the most important, influential people in my life. As a kid, I remember him always being gone. He was always working. So he was in the car business. So that required a lot of his time. But what was crazy is as busy as he was, whenever it was family time, he was 100% there. Whether we were fishing, taking us to a movie, him showing me how to bait a hook, he was always there. And at family time, dinner time, he would always, that was his moment to talk about life lessons, whether it was just to be honest, to be a good person, to be of integrity. And I'll never forget how determined he was in what he did, but yet how he could just be there for our family. He went off and became the CEO of a company. I followed in his footsteps and entered the car business. Now, I was also blessed with a daughter, and I had to look to myself and say, what else could I do to help continue being there for my daughter, but also keep serving people the way I wanted to be served? And so then I was introduced to the mortgage industry. And in that process, I realized that everything that I've been doing in the car business, which was showing up for people in the moments of fear and panic of financing around a car, I could do the same thing around someone's dream home, around their ticket to net worth. And I realized that they were even more scared in that time of financing when it came to getting a home than they were getting a car. And I realized, it dawned on me in that moment, that I get a chance to do for them what my dad did for me. I get to be there fully for them in that moment of fear and panic. I get to take my experience of understanding finance and create that smooth and fun experience where most people feel ignored. And I'm excited to do that in the mortgage industry. See how that sounds?
That was great.
Okay?
I should have said that.
Well, here's the good news is that it's recorded. Thank you. Big round of applause if you would. Thank you. Thank you. So what I want you guys to see, one, more importantly, is I want you guys to really realize what happens. One, it's not easy doing that. It is not easy. Fear and panic come up doing this type of thing, but now we have a template for her to work with. And what I hope that you saw is a template for you to work with. Is that here's the template. I'm just going to give it to you. I want you to write down 3, 5 words, whatever it is. Okay? You write down those 3 to 5 words. And then I want you to ask yourself, just make sure those words in reflection of your values. If that's true, then you can go back and breadcrumb all the way back to the ages of 9 to 13 as a really critical period in time. And say, okay, who was around and what happened during that time in relation to said word? If it was hard work, maybe you grew up on a farm. If it was empathy, maybe you had the opposite of it. And was this a lighthouse or a foghorn type of story? And I want you to capture that story. And then I want you to think about the attributes of that story. Like, what was it? What was it? Was it hard work? Was it fear? What was it? And how do the attributes of that experience relate to your business today? And this is where that key thing of what we call tethering things together start coming together, being able to tell that story. When I told you a piece of chicken with no story ends up on a $1 menu at KFC, but a piece of chicken with a story I'll pay $150 in, that's the story that people will pay for. Because now I know who you are. I don't need to know that you have 100 years of experience in the mortgage industry. I need to know that you care about me. I need to know that you're competent and that you're surrounded by good people. And if you could do that, you could lead me through a process and you're going to be there for me, I'm all in. You may be new at mortgage, but you're not new in finance. You may be brand new at this, but you're not new at life. You can bring that past experience forward into that as long as you can piece those things together. Is this making sense? Okay. So now, a couple things that I want to piece together. So we're talking about the understanding of how the media is using fear and panic, and how that fear and panic becomes a really good distraction. And you need to make that choice. to be the person that is the guiding light, the lighthouse during that fear and the panic. So yes, you need to understand the NAR settlement lawsuit. You need to understand what's happening in interest rates. You need to understand all that sort of stuff. But you need to be the one that is so good at telling the story that people look to you as the one that can guide them. That is your skill set. You look at every single professional athlete, how many coaches do they have? How much time do they put in before a game? Remember Allen Iverson skipped practice one time and the world lost their mind? This is Allen Iverson, one of the greatest basketball players at one time. He skipped practice once. Most of us in this room don't practice at all, and yet we call ourselves pros. If you ever watch a professional athlete train for a sport, there's one word that differentiates them. It's the word intensity. There's an intensity that's about it. You watch them shoot free throws. Like I played college basketball. I used to shoot free throws in an air-conditioned gym, just and I'd shoot the ball. You watch a pro shoot, they run up and down the court 6 times, dripping wet, can't breathe, and then shoot. One of my good friends is a coach, one of the best golf instructors in the world. He's coached a lot of people that you would know. And he teaches executives out for golf as a coaching lesson, as a leadership lesson. And he says, you want to know what it's like to try to hit a 10-foot, $3 million putt that if you miss, you lose $3 million? They're like, yeah. He goes, give me 30 push-ups. And after those 30 push-ups, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to make your shot. And now they're shaking like this, and he's got 10 minutes, he's trying to do this. And he's like, yeah, make the shot, pull it together. You train with intensity so that when moments of time come, when we're there to perform and you get a chance to be on the stage, or whatever stage it is that you want to be a part of, you're in front of your dream customer, it's not your first time. Practice should be harder than the game. Does that make sense? Say yes. So now, when we're going through this, I need you to start practicing this stuff. I need you to put it in. And here's what the reality is going to be. That practice is going to be full of suffering. Now, before I go into this, I want you guys, there's 2 things I want to give for you. One is, can we put the QR code up there for me, please, if you would? I want to give you guys a gift. This is from AIME. I talked to Jen, I talked to Jonathan, and I want you to scan this QR code. I do a monthly group coaching, what we call Amplify Mentorship Program. And this is a free month to that. That will give you 2 sessions of learning these skill sets, all from my book, Amplify Your Influence. We're going to talk about body language sequencing. We're going to talk about sales skills. We're going to talk about leadership. And then each month, I also bring in a guest. My last guest last week was Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer was CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. He was the inspiration behind the movie Jerry Maguire, the biggest sports agency in the world. And we talked about life and what value was. If you're on that call, you realize just how valuable. This is a free month. If you don't like it, you can cancel it afterwards. Second thing, if you want a copy of my book, Amplify Your Influence, Sam Parker of My Credit Guy has decided to sponsor that and has got, I think, about 100 books that he's going to be giving away to the first 100 people that go to the booth there. I will be there signing them. This will be after this, okay? So 1, Sam, thank you so much. And then 2, please make sure that you scan this QR code and get that. You also, by the way, if you do this, there's $2,000 worth of free videos that you'll get afterwards. You'll be able to chance to see the last 2 years of these things. Even if you sign up and cancel, you'll still get all the videos, okay? That is my gift from AIME and me to you. So now, I just told you that I want you to go out there and practice with intensity. Practicing with intensity is a suffering type of thing. If you remember, the first time I was on this stage was 4 years ago. I was 102 pounds of fat heavier. I was 307 pounds, 45% body fat. Now, if you don't know what that means, that is the same body fat percentage as bacon. You better fucking laugh at that one, because that sucked. And by the way, me jumping off that stage felt a hell of a lot better now than it did before. But to lose that 102 pounds, it was 3 years of suffering. And I was having a conversation with my son, and he said, Dad, what's the goal of life? And he said, isn't it to be happy? Excuse me. And I said, son, if you think the goal of life is to be happy, you are going to be sorely disappointed, because most of life is not happy. In fact, most of life is suffering and sacrifice. We hear a lot of people talk about life balance, and I've gone to war with people about this, that balance, I think, is bullshit. And it's not that it's not a good thing to have, but I think we get it wrong. And I'll give you an example. How many of you here have ever done something big, achieved a big goal? Keep your hands and put them up high. Now, I'm going to ask you a second question. Keep them up here. If you did that and achieved that goal, balanced. Yeah. Life isn't about balance. Because balance is like 50, 50, 50, 50. I'm going to do 50 here. No, I'm done here. I got to go over here. See, I don't like the word balance. I like the word harmony. Harmony. You play this tune, I play this tune. And it might feel out of balance. Hey, we're going to do a startup. The first couple years are going to suck. Honey, you got my back? Yes, go do it. You play this tune, I play this tune. To me, if you can integrate harmony into that, now all of a sudden you start achieving big things. And there's nothing, so when we talk about that piece and that suffering piece and how we approach it, I want you to think about it from this perspective. I'm going to draw another picture here. Because when we talk about the pursuit of happy, it's really about the pursuit of dopamine. And if you know what dopamine is known as the reward hormone. And this reward hormone, I want you to think about it from terms of this chart here, okay? Boom, boom, and we'll put dopamine over here. Dope and time, right? We all search for dope. And so how does dopamine work? Dopamine is secreted in the anticipation of reward. What does that mean? So if you see your favorite food, you get hungry, you get excited to eat it. You haven't consumed it yet, but you feel the dopamine. Once you consume it, you don't feel it anymore. And so what happens is we set big goals because it secretes a ton of dopamine. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer so you guys can see this. And so when we're thinking about, damn, that's a heavy one. I'm not moving that one. Okay, good. That's quality. So we set a big goal. Let's just say it's to get a beach home, right? What happens to dopamine? It starts going through the roof. Ooh, boom. And by the way, this whole journey here is suffering and it's sacrifice. It's difficulty. When I wanted to lose 100 pounds, it was suffering and it was sacrifice. But I kept in line this vision, and so dopamine was this little cheerleader right along the way saying, you can do this. Now, here's what's happened. Here's what's interesting. Here we are suffering, sacrificing, and we achieve the beach home, and we're like, oh, man, honey, look at this. Look at the water. Yeah. And you go to your laptop, open it back up, and start searching for what? The next one. Because what happened? The moment you achieve the goal, dopamine levels plummeted to the floor, even below what we call baseline levels. And so you're saying, you know what? Maybe we need a bigger beach home, right? So let's go out that. All of a sudden, boom, we're back in the game. We feel good. Well, boom, we hit the beach home. Then boom. Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe we need the Lambo. Nope, that wasn't it. Maybe we need this. Maybe we need. And we go through this life chasing these little fleeting moments of happiness. Fleeting. They're gone. 28 years ago, I remember holding my first Chief Executive magazine. And I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, man, if I could ever be in this magazine, life would be set. Now, 2 years ago, when I wrote my book, I came out in Chief Executive magazine. And I remember looking at this, and I was like, 28 years, man. Like, tell my friends and my wife, I was like, this is like 28 years. I'm like, oh, this is why did they use my fat photos? And happiness was gone instantly. Why? Because here's the thing. All of the suffering that we go through, all of this, the chase of everything, between the suffering and the achievement of this fleeting moment, all of this is really our life. And if most of our life is in the red, right? It's all in the red. That means we're suffering most of our life for these little moments that just come and go. At the end of, even halfway at the end, you're going to ask yourself, well, hold on a second. The reality is like, I just been suffering for what? Is it for the nice things, for the cars, for what? And then it dawns on you. We've all suffered over something. Maybe it was helping somebody, building somebody a home. We come home, our hands are bleeding. We've lost money. We didn't sleep, but we know we helped somebody. And all of a sudden, we rest well. We know we're good. So the best moments of my life have come on the opposite end of suffering. Ed told you that, on the opposite end of pain. And when you realize that all of the best things, the price that we pay is to suffer. Mother Teresa had a $29 million budget. She could have solved the problems in Calcutta, but she felt, and she believed, and a lot of people believe, that suffering is the closest way to God and understand the contrast. Because when you suffer, it gives you two things. It gives you contrast, and it gives you compassion. Because you understand the good only because you understand the bad. The highs because you understand the lows. And so I need you to understand that the suffering that we've gone through the last couple of years were good because it prepares you for this moment that you have right now. And those that did not suffer and those that have never suffered cannot handle moments like this. And so the suffering is the training. The suffering is the moment that gives you comparison so that you can step up. And so I'm going to close with this. I wish all of you to take everything you have here, because the feelings you have here are going to be gone tomorrow. You have to figure out, how do you keep this alive? Go out there and work hard. Build up the intensity. Be the ones, while everyone else is quitting, be the ones that are pushing harder. Go out there and suffer, because the only way that this makes sense, if we suffer in the pursuit of helping others, and we only do that through service. Somebody once said, when the floods of life come, I want to be the one who built the ark, not the one who needs a ride. So go out there and build your ark. Be of utility. Be the ones that people look to so that we can turn this industry around and help the people that need the help. Thank you so much.